Hi, and welcome to How and Why. This edition is going to be talking about the Arba Minim, the 4 species that we take on Sukkot. And what with it being Erev Sukkot, and I thought, what a lovely day today. I thought, what better day, what better place to be talking about them than inside our half-built sukkah. So let's hope the weather stays like this for the rest of Yom Tov. Before we start looking at the details of how to take the Arba Minim and what to do with them, let's look at the Pasuk in the Torah, the verse in the Torah that tells us about taking the Arba Minim.
I'll go through it all the way through and then go back to it and break it down individually, phrase by phrase. Ulekachtem lachem, and you shall take for yourselves, b'yom harishon, on the first day, peri eitz hadar, fruit of a beautiful tree, Kapas tamarim, which are branches from a date tree, which is the lulav. Vanof eitz avos for aravei nachol, myrtle branches and willow. V'samachtem lifnei Hashem elakechem shivas yomim, and you shall celebrate and you shall rejoice before God, your God, Hashem your God, for 7 days. Let's go back over that again. And you shall take for yourselves.
Let's hop back to the sukkah now to see how you should take the Arba Minim.
Now, under Jewish law, if you're going to take something, it needs to belong to you, and you need to have full ownership of it, of that item, before, in this case, before the onset of Yom Tov. So it's important when you take the lulav and the lulav and esrog, if you're taking one from a synagogue or a communal set, that you ensure that you are actually taking ownership of it, and then at the end, when you've finished shaking the lulav and esrog, that you relinquish your ownership afterwards.
B'yom harishon, on the first day. Strictly speaking, the Torah law is to only take the Arba Minim on the first day of Sukkot. But because the verse ends by saying that they should be taken on all 7 days, we derived that in temple times, in the temple, they would take the Arba Minim indeed on all 7 days of Sukkot. Since the destruction of the temple, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai ruled that in memory of the temple, the Arba Minim should be taken by everyone, everywhere, on all 7 days of the festival, just as they did in the temple. However, as a consequence of this, we are stricter upon ourselves with regards to the Arba Minim on the first day than on the other days of Yom Tov. Pri eitz hadar, fruit of a beautiful tree.
The word beauty is defined halakhically, I'm afraid, and not subjectively, and there are specific laws that specify what constitutes a beautiful esrog. To understand this, we need to look at how the shape of an esrog appears, and to do this we can compare it to a regular cola bottle. It may seem strange, but the closer the shape of an esrog resembles a cola bottle, the more beautiful it is considered to be.
Our local sukkah mart shop to pick up our Arba Minim. Let's go inside and have a look at some esrogim and get an idea of what to look for in an esrog. We've got a lovely looking esrog here. Just to go through the basic structure, on top you've got the pitum, which is like a little outgrowth there. It looks a bit like a mushroom. It's got a little vertical bit called the dod, and out of that, on top of that, you've got a crown bit, the shashanta. It's a bit like the lid on a Coke bottle. Underneath, you've got the uketz, from which you've got the stalk, which is what it grows from on the tree. Then you've got the conical bit on top, the chotem, and then the cylindrical sort of body of the bottle or the esrog. We're looking for an esrog that's a genuine esrog, it's a pedigree esrog, not a hybrid. We're also looking for one with no permanent blemishes on it, no black marks or anything like that. Doesn't matter if it's a bit green, that can ripen at home next to some bananas or something. But you're looking for something that's ideally symmetric, fits into the shape of the cola bottle, and as I say, no permanent marks or blemishes. Next comes the myrtle and the willow. Note that the myrtle is mentioned first, before the willow, and for that reason we give it some degree of priority when we're binding it together with the lulav. So for example, we arrange the myrtle branches slightly higher than the willow branches, and we put them to the right when we're holding them. The Mishnah in Sukkah in the third chapter, the fourth Mishnah of the third chapter, notes that 3 words are used to describe the myrtle, the arovos, vanof, eitz, ovos. And so we take 3 branches of myrtle, whereas for the willows, only 2 words are used, va'arvei nachal. And so we take 2 branches of willow. I've shamelessly copied the drawing from the OU website, which gives some of the minimum measurements you need when setting up your arbor minim, just to show how they should be arranged for the casual, so they're visible to the casual observer.
So much for the individual arbor minim. I should point out you should ideally assemble them, slot them into their holders before Yom Tov. If you don't, do check with a rabbi, because it can be problematic. Assembling the arbor minim on Yom Tov is considered completing something, and that can be halachically a problem, so do check with a rabbi. Okay, let's hop back into the sukkah now and see how we should take the arbor minim.
What we do is we derive from the verse that when you take the lulav, the arbor minim, the 4 species, that you should take them as they grow. And that's taken to mean that the esrog here is taken with the stem facing downwards, and the pitum, which this esrog doesn't have a pitum, it grew without a pitum, facing upwards. But the problem we have is that we can't take them before we've made the blessing, the bracha on them. So we have to do something to them to invalidate the taking, and then undo that once we've taken them. So what we do is we turn the esrog upside down. In the left hand, if you're right-handed, if you're left-handed, switch them over. You say the blessing Al Natilas Lulav. If you're doing it on the first day, you say the Shechianu as well. And then you turn the esrog upside down and bring them together. That is your taking, if you like, of the lulav and esrog.
So much for the mitzvah of taking the arbor minim. Now we'll look at the next mitzvah, the next stage, which is waving the arbor minim.
Well, the truth is there are a number of different customs. Any good machzor, the Art Scroll machzor particularly indicates this very well, will show you where and how and what directions to wave the lulav, the arbor minim. The general accepted practice, though, is to start. You're normally facing east towards Mizrach, towards the ark, and you wave it forwards, then to your right, behind you, and then to your left, and then up and down. So almost like a circle going around you. For each waving, you should ideally wave 3 times. Okay. And give it a gentle rattle. You should should be making a noise. The lulav should be making a noise. The leaves of the lulav should rattle together and make some noise. But obviously, you don't want to shake it too hard because the leaves will fall off.
Okay, it's been a crazy Erev Yom Tov, but I think we're pretty much there now. Just remains for me to say that Sukkot is, like the other Chagim, Pesach and Shavuos, is a harvest festival, and it represents the culmination of the harvest period. It was the time at which all the harvests had been gathered up and was in the silos. And so it was very much a time for the farmers to reflect on the bounty that they had harvested, the goodness that they had received from the earth, and the fruits of their labours and the fruits of the land, and the gift that God had given to them. So it was very much more than the other festivals, perhaps, a time for simcha, a time for gratitude, and that is why it is described. Sukkot is described specifically as at the end of the posuk as being a festival in which one one should rejoice before our God. I wish you a Chag Sameach. I hope the video has been helpful. Thank you very much for watching if it has, and please go buy many more. Bye.